Hello and welcome to the Gifted Review. My name is MUTTONTHERUN and I am the DM of this entire charade. This video will serve as a supplemental tool for any of you guys who maybe want to get into the world of this story. Just as a precursor, The Gifted Few is a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition homebrew campaign set in the relative present that we also happen to stream. Though it's D&D for ease of access using the stat and combat system, the planes and lore of D&D proper don't really exist in this universe, and I take quite a lot of liberty with how I run my campaigns. You can watch the streams of this campaign at twitch.tv/MUTTONTHERUN. Now that that's out of the way, it's time for the story. The setting for The Gifted Few is a place called Bandor. Think of it as like a modern day industrial city like London, but slightly to the left. An urban industrial place full of different people and different backgrounds. What our party is just beginning to understand, however, is that not everything is quite as it seems in Bandor, and that they might be the only ones who can fix something that is terribly wrong with it. The heroes of this story are Amory, FLEUR, JULES, OPHELIA, and WESLEY.
Amory Koenig is a 26-year-old Path of the Berserker barbarian who currently works at a gym in the city. They have a tendency to feel their emotions a little too much. They use they/them pronouns and are played by me, MOTH. I use he/they pronouns and can be found at MOTHILIVE on pretty much anything.
Fleur Bennett is a 22-year-old Circle of Dreams druid who you'll find in the dictionary when looking up the definition of flower child. She/her pronouns and played by me, who goes by Rec. She/her/they can sometimes be found on Twitter at RelatableRec.
Jules is a 22-year-old College of Glamour bard and a local musician in our little town. Their pronouns are they/she, and there is something wrong with them. It seems to her up is down, right is left, and the strange and unusual is, well, usual. Might be because they're played by me, Riley. I use they/them pronouns and am at MINKEROO practically everywhere.
OPHELIA Drake is a 19-year-old wild magic sorcerer who is, in all senses of the word, a 19-year-old. They are currently attending university under a psychology scholarship, and most importantly, she has a lot of growing up to do. She uses she/they pronouns and is played by me, AMBROSIA. I go by any pronouns, and you can find me at AMBWOSIA on all platforms.
Wesley is a 22-year-old warlock with an unknown pact. He's a graffiti artist with a strong belief in all things magic, including tricks relying on sleight of hand. He uses he/him pronouns and he's played by me, SYRA. I go by he/they pronouns and I can be found on several platforms under the user SYRALLAN.
Session 0. Our party all arrive at the same pub at varying times throughout the night of their collective birthday without real knowledge of who each other are. As they enter, the TVs replaying the same old news segment and the dates on magazines and crosswords on the tables are all at least a decade old. They sit down, and once all of them enter the pub, every other patron in the bar stands and leaves, leaving only the party and the barman in the room. As the party begin to investigate their surroundings, they notice books laid on one shelf in the colours of green, blue, purple and yellow, with the names of FLEUR, Amory, OPHELIA and Juliet on them. Wesley is and continues to be the only member of the party to not really have a book from the bar. The party take their respective books with a general understanding that they can't open them and have to keep them with the party. They soon find out that the doors in the pub lead to absolutely nowhere as Amory continues to try to leave and ends up being faced with a black, windless void outside. They all order a drink from the bar, and as they do, each member makes a wisdom saving throw. OPHELIA, Wesley and Amory fail and see visions of their worst nightmares in their glasses. Jules and FLEUR, who saved on the wisdom saving throw, are completely safe. Wesley begins to understand that Marcus, the barman who is more than meets the eye, does not like him at all, and Marcus offers to forge a connection with OPHELIA via psychic link so she can call on him whenever she requires help, something that she agrees to. They all leave the pub and set off on their next adventure with little knowledge of what's to come after Marcus opens the door for them and presents them with a gateway to a wasteland. The team left the dimension-hopping pub and were met with Bandor in ruins. Concrete, sand, rubble, strewn everywhere. In the wasteland, they meet a blonde, disconcerting man named Anthony who gives them all gifts. 5 backpacks, each with personalised items. Ophelia gets a staff, Jules gets a guitar, Fleur gets an evergreen plant, Amory gets knuckle dusters and a collapsible pole, and Wesley gets a backpack with no name and a crystal that looks like soot. Afterwards, Anthony leads the group through the wasteland. There, the group finds statues that look as if they could be something else, big rocks, remnants of times that definitely don't belong to them. Some things are left standing and they have runes carved into them. They seem to be the only things that are left completely untouched. The party discusses all of this amongst themselves. Anthony butts in and Ophelia and Jules joke, which he doesn't take kindly to. He disappears upon the two of them slighting him, and as he leaves, a huge rock monster is summoned forth with gargoyles in tow. During this battle, Jules dies and meets the sun, a god who reassures her that everything is going to be okay and that this is part of the plan. They wake up from death with a tattoo of a sun on their arm. Post-battle, the party encounters a person called Delta, who leads them to safety in a vault at the end of the wasteland. The party stayed in the vault with Delta through the night, finally safe for the first time since leaving the pub. The next location was to be an exact replica of their world, except nobody recognised them. Families were wiped from their phones, names and contact details were forgotten by all, except from Wesley, with his knowledge of Chris Angel. The party decides to head to Ophelia's flat to regroup, and on the way the party finds that they're being followed by a woman with bleach blonde hair. Ophelia, panicked over the idea of being followed, sets off a surge of wild magic and ends up aging herself 10 years, making her 29. At the flat, the party acquires Basil, a houseplant that Fleur gives sentience to and then immediately rips from him. Unsure of what to do next though, the party has Jules commune with the sun for some sort of direction, and she tells them to find the monk. With this hint, they decide to head to the gym Amory works at. It's pretty empty apart from a couple of men, one of which is the man who trained Amory. He doesn't recognise them at all though, and Amory tries to remind him of their existence, first by bringing up memories, then by sparring with him. They use techniques he only taught certain people to gain his trust, due to the lack of knowledge of who they were. The rest of the party encounters a man at the back of the gym who excused himself upon Jules' arrival and headed to the changing room. Wesley and Jules followed, and Wesley sensed a magic sort of presence. They try to talk to him, but the blonde woman that they met earlier jumps out of the changing room, now transformed into a half-beast, who chased the 5 of them out into the street. The party nearly kills her, but before a final blow could land, she disappears. She leaves behind a notebook filled to the brim and an engraved dagger, which was immediately taken by the party. And that is all of the context that you need to know up until the first published episode. If this world and these characters are of any interest to you, The Gifted Few streams pretty much every Monday on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MUTTONTHERUN. Every episode is saved to my Twitch and archived for ease of access. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Have a wonderful day. Watch The Gifted Few.